AI has dominated enterprise conversations over the past 2 years. Every organization is exploring how it can improve productivity, automate processes, and unlock more value from its data. But despite all the excitement, one challenge continues to hold many businesses back: turning AI from an interesting pilot into something that delivers real business value inside SAP. This is Neptune Talks, where we share short insights on SAP execution and innovation. Today, we're digging into what SAPinsider calls the AI execution gap, why so many AI projects get stuck in the pilot phase, and what it really takes to move from experimentation to production.
Yeah, it's a stark number when you see it.
It really is. The research shows that nearly three-quarters of organizations are still in the very early stages of AI adoption within SAP. Most are identifying use cases, experimenting with pilots, or simply haven't yet developed a clear strategy.
Right. That execution gap is the perfect term for it. It's not a shortage of ideas. The research is clear. People are identifying use cases, they're experimenting, there's a lot of activity, but then it just stalls. The value doesn't materialize at scale.
Exactly. Nearly three-quarters of organizations are still identifying use cases, experimenting, or have no solid plans at all. In other words, most of the SAP market is still trying to work out how to move from AI pilots to production.
And that's before you even count the organizations that have no solid plans at all. So we're talking about a massive portion of the SAP ecosystem that isn't really operationalizing AI, despite all the hype.
So, what's the real barrier? Is it the technology itself? Are the models not good enough?
I don't think it's the models. I mean, the paper argues the model was never the hard part. The value isn't in the raw AI output alone. It's in what you do with that output, how you integrate it.
Right. Look at where value is actually showing up. The use cases that are delivering are things like workflow automation and task routing. Then you've got conversational interfaces and chatbots, followed by decision support and content generation.
Mm-hmm. Things that are embedded directly into a real live business process. They aren't just abstract answers from a model that a user then has to figure out what to do with. They're integrated.
Exactly. The experiment ends as a demo when there's no safe native path to turn that output into something the business can actually run inside SAP. And that brings up the biggest hurdle of all: governance.
Which is what everyone is worried about. The accuracy and reliability of AI outputs is the top concern for, what was it, almost two-thirds of companies? 63%. That's huge.
It is, and it's a valid concern. You can't run a business on an AI that's only 80% or 90% accurate. Not in your system of record. Not for critical financial or operational processes. The risk of hallucination has to be zero.
Of course. And right behind that accuracy concern, you have data leakage and privacy compliance, both tied at 59%. These aren't minor issues, they're absolute deal breakers for any enterprise.
But here's where it gets interesting, and this is a point I think is worth digging into. The research also says that organizations are actually ahead in implementing governance policies compared to their AI adoption. So on the surface, it sounds like they're taking it seriously, which they are, but I think there's a disconnect between policy and practice.
What do you mean? You think they're writing the policies but not building the systems to enforce them?
I think they're treating governance as something to bolt on at the end, rather than treating it as the foundation. The most successful organizations see governance as a precondition for moving any AI pilot into production. It's an architectural decision, not simply a policy review.
Ah, okay, that makes sense. So it's not just about having a policy document somewhere, it's about having a system that enforces those rules from the very beginning.
Exactly. And that's where what the report calls the execution layer becomes so critical. It's probably the single most important architectural decision an organization can make for AI and SAP. It's where both the value case and the governance case are won or lost together.
So let's break that down. What does a good execution layer actually look like? What should it be able to do, practically speaking?
The research points to three really clear criteria. First, and this is the big one, it has to enforce role-based access control that's perfectly aligned with existing SAP authorizations. Nearly half of everyone surveyed said this was the primary security control they needed.
And that makes perfect sense. You can't have a new AI agent or front-end application suddenly accessing sensitive data that users themselves aren't authorized to see. It has to inherit the governance from the core SAP system.
Exactly. Otherwise, you're not innovating, you're creating a security risk. The second requirement is that this execution layer fits naturally with the integration patterns organizations are already using, particularly secure API connections into SAP.
So the execution layer needs to make those integrations simple and secure. No unnecessary middleware, no moving data outside SAP just to process it and bring it back again.
Exactly. Keep it clean, keep it native. And the third requirement is observability. Organizations need to measure whether AI is genuinely improving employee productivity, customer outcomes, or core business process KPIs.
Right. Without that visibility, you can't demonstrate ROI and projects stay stuck in pilot mode.
Which is exactly why low-code and no-code platforms are becoming so important. The report shows that almost 40% of organizations already see them as a core or important part of turning AI outputs into governed business applications.
Because they can actually provide that execution layer. Especially when they run natively inside SAP, they inherit existing roles and authorizations automatically.
Right. They simplify integration, provide governance, and allow organizations to build, deploy, and monitor applications directly where the business data and logic already live.
So they become the bridge between an interesting AI output and a production-ready enterprise application. For anyone who wants to explore more examples, you can always visit neptunesoftware.com.
It really shifts the focus. It's no longer just about finding clever AI use cases. It's about building a secure, scalable way to execute them.
So when you boil it all down, the advice is to stop endlessly searching for use cases and start building the foundation that allows successful ones to scale.
Exactly. The key takeaway is this. Your AI strategy in SAP shouldn't begin with finding the perfect model. It should begin with building the right execution layer. Once governance, security, and execution are in place, AI can finally move beyond pilots and start delivering measurable business value.
A solid plan to move from experimentation to true execution.
Thanks for listening to Neptune Talks. If you want more short insights like this on SAP, be sure to follow the series. And if you'd like to explore more, visit neptune-software.com.